Hello everyone! I'm finally better, and today we're playing some mini murder mysteries. God, I have been sick for so long. I got the flu. While there's no graphic imagery in this game, it does describe scenes of death, murder, violence, and all that business. Okay, perfect. Manners cost nothing. I'm in a house so deep in a country estate. A lord found dead in the city, a raft of suspects. We need you to figure out what happened. And then I went on a trip, right? And I got another sickness while on the trip, so... time to dig in and see what we're doing here. Okay, let's have a look, shall we? This is to click on here first. Underneath a stiffly ironed collar and a blood-red cravat, the victim's neck bears some visible bruising. The setting of the indentations, the way the markings are spread apart, clearly lines up with where a pair of human hands would wrap around the neck. The location of the more prominent thumb indentation suggests it was done from the front, right, so it was pressing up against the larynx. Can't tell you yet if this was the cause of death, but the victim was strangled. He saw who did it. And we can click that as a word, just like other mystery games that we've played before on the channel. Oh my god, apparently I'm not better. The victim lies on the floor in the middle of the room, seemingly having fallen backwards over a chair near the fire. I'm not one for judging the dead, but this is the face of someone who didn't do a whole lot of smiling. Every feature is rigid, every line sharp. Around the mouth there's a smattering of a white powdery residue, but there's no way to know what it is this side of lab analysis. Lifeless shark eyes stare up at the most expensive ceiling this side of the Vatican. So it's got a very posh ceiling, yeah. The state of the victim's hand presents something of a contradiction and a trove of possible secrets. The soft, pudgy fingers are those of a person who has never done an honest day's work, but the knuckles look red and slightly swollen, a bit beaten up. There's a ring, so isn't a fight. There was a ring bearing some faded sigil on the right and a big weighted gold wedding band on the left. The latter seems to be a recent adornment. The skin underneath it isn't any different to the rest of the finger. They recently got married, did he? I've been watching you with some interest, detective. The eye of justice will fall upon you, as it has for those you've condemned. M. Mysterious note. That's weird. I don't think that this note is related to the case. In fact, it seems addressed to me. I'll keep a hold of it for future reference. Interesting. Okay. A grand brick-built beast of a house surrounded by landscape gardens and dense woodland beyond. It must be a couple of 100 years old. It's very green, isn't it? But it's seen better days. It's one of those places where the money is tied up in the bricks and the bricks are deteriorating. I guess if you're inheriting a place like this, you'd be best off selling it. Don't get me wrong, the place is impressive, but it's impractical in a way only very old buildings are. Now it's been tainted with murder to boot. Okay. Yeah, I would buy it. It's a nice house. Just needs some work done. A receipt in the victim's pocket details gears bought recently for some kind of fetish emporium. Whips, handcuffs, masks, some serious stuff here which poses more questions than answers. For example, who was the Lord using this stuff with? Or did someone know about this who shouldn't? In my experience, cases in less glamorous surroundings than this, with less auspicious suspects, have found themselves blackmailed for much less. I mean, people are fine to have their fetishes. It's okay. People can get tied up all they want. I'm not one to judge. Eddie, as your friend more than your lawyer, I felt like I should flag that this change will not only seat Mallory as a heir to the manor, it'll mean James inherits effectively nothing upon your passing. Is that definitely what you want? Bear in mind, it's not as though that lovely new wife of yours is fabulously wealthy already. It's fine to enact this if so, but just thought I should present things clearly. Okay, so he's making a change to his will. Right, to benefit his wife, so his wife probably killed him. The bottom half of a handwritten letter, half burned in inksmith, found inside the fireplace here. Or half even. I think it's been hidden in there for a while. What I can make out of what's left reads, relentless punishment for nothing. He's already been poisoned against you. But there may be time to turn things around if you change your ways. The life of a lord doesn't need to be this hideous. Fail to do so, and I will have to do something drastically. Sincerely, X. Who's X? Is that the wife or the son? The son blackmailing the wife blackmailing the son, etc. Large hunting rifle lay on the floor by the victim. I think it may have been knocked off the nearby wall during whatever happened. It looks like it's at least 100 years old. Intricately carved etchings adorn almost every part of it, making it look more like an ornament than any kind of functioning weapon. Hasn't been fired and it's not loaded. Yes, we figured that it wasn't. It's either due to poisoning or strangling, right? We can have a chat with the people, but let's have a look at the rest of the evidence first. What I was going to mention is, any of you play the game Heaven and Half? Great game. I hated the move from 2D to 3D there. A brick fireplace stands grand and proud against the east wall of the study. The stack of logs to one side and family portraits above it. The fire has gone out, but it seems like it was burning all night. Shattered into pieces at the bottom of the embers is what appears to be the remnants of a whiskey glass. No way to tell how it got there or when, but there are tumblers that match the glass pattern on a table in the corner of the room. A half-buried piece of paper lies on the hearth. I say earth every single time, I think. There's no ID in the victim's wallet, but the ultra-wealthy tend not to need any. What we do here have is a receipt up on the evidence board, £350 sterling, and a bunch of barcoded membership cards for various snooty country clubs. And then amongst them is a business card for one Annabelle Higgins, a lawyer specialising in estates and family affairs. On the back, someone has written, "Eddie, if you forget my number again, I'm going to shove one of these cards down your throat." Annie, I love you already. A friend handed a photo of the lord and lady of the manor laughing and walking, taken somewhere in the sprawling grounds of a summer's day. They seem happy. They're as happy as the young boy in the background of the photo, presumably the lord's son. He's on a swing by himself. He sits on an old swing looking at the ground, his face gloomy dark. Having this particular photograph framed seems odd. It's as if they didn't even realize the kid was in the picture, which might be true of the family as well, right? They might not realize that the kid is in the picture. Wingard's artisanal grocer, Sterling Manor January. Pork shoulder times 6, so they're having a party. Rotisserie chicken times 3, beef joints times 4, venison loin times 2, seasonal vegetable hamper, cheese world selection, seasonal fruit selection, sundries, toiletry provisions, herbs, spices, oils, milk, breads, eggs, locally ground coffee, tea. £1,830. That is expensive, but they are getting a lot. Might be just a shopping list. What else are they getting? Rodenticide. So it was rodent killer. That probably was on his. Anything else that's changed here? No. Okay. So rodenticide, eh? Let's have a statement of Lady Sterling. Don't look at me like that. I know exactly what you're thinking. Rich lord, young new wife. It writes itself, doesn't it? But Edwin and I were different. We were special, and we had a connection that people like you wouldn't understand. The fact of the matter is that I could never kill my husband. He and I have done a great many interesting things to one another, but that's neither here nor there, and in fact none of your business. My husband is dead, detective, and I'm clearly very upset. Why don't you go and bother somebody else? You're lying. I mean, you have done interesting things together. I've been Lord Sterling's butler for over 30 years, so to be considered a suspect in all of this is frankly insulting. In all the years I've worked here, I've only ever been the very personification of the 3 P's, professional, punctual, and polite. Mr. Nevasson must be mumbled something about a 4th P, but it was unintelligible. Oh, I can't think of a 4th P that's appropriate here. I've observed this house through many changes. The new Lady Sterling, for instance, and her interesting hobbies, which I shan't go into. But Master James trumps all. Whether he ends up owning this estate or not, protecting young James is my #1 priority. Okay, so he cares more about James than the father does. So maybe he's the father of James. If I had a penny for every time one of my clients ended up getting themselves killed, I'd be an even richer woman. But then there's what you get for exclusively dealing with old money types. But the thing of it is, wasn't just a client. He was my friend, and he had been since our school days. So no, of course I didn't kill him. He was a perfect man, but who is in this day and age? Look, if it's useful to you, have some letters that cover some recent updates to his will. But anything further, and you'll need a warrant. I learned a lot about Edwin over the years, and those secrets die with me. My name is James Sterling, and I'm 11 years old. I didn't kill my father, and I don't know who did. This whole thing has been scary and very sad, but Alfred says everything's going to be okay, and I trust Alfred. Father's new wife, Lady Marilyn, keeps saying she feels belittled by Alfred, but I don't know what that means, and I don't know why she would have a problem with Alfred. He's only ever been really nice to me, and people aren't always that nice. Can I go now? The boy starts rubbing his arm as though he was in some pain. Oh, so he got hit by it. Oh, the gun hit him. I see. Alright, and there's just the same case file that we read earlier. Lance, poisoned. By his son. That can't be true. I think it was by his wife. But would it be to stop his son from getting inheriting the money, right? Wife. And then this one would be the what's his name? Lord. Sterling. Is that his name? Can we go back? The Lord of the Manor. Lady Sterling, yeah, so Lord Sterling. Submit. No, that's not quite right. Maybe I'll have to think a bit harder. Shush! I am thinking hard. By his son, to stop his wife from inheriting money. Alright, maybe it was by his lawyer. But his... his secrets from getting exposed? Or... I would like this one. I think 3 out of 7 are wrong right now. Oh. Was inheriting money wrong, right? I think 4 out of 7 are wrong right now. So yeah, it was blackmailed from... Maybe it was his wife from getting blackmailed. No. Can I have a hint? Yeah, okay. The other thing was strangled, right? It could be strangled. So it was definitely poison, which is what I thought. Because he had the residue around his mouth. And it looks like it was poisoned and then strangled. And it was definitely Lord Sterling who had died. So this one are probably right. And then all of this are wrong. And how many are wrong? 3 out of 7. So one of these is right. Do we reckon it was a wife? Four out of 7 are wrong, so it was one or the other. Maybe it was getting. Yeah, it was. Maybe James. 2 or fewer, yeah. Oh. Yeah, so it was definitely that one. Oh, maybe it was this. Yeah. Oh, the boy Butler poisoned Lord Sterling there. Yeah, protect James. Yeah, son was suspected injuries, written mass to Lord. Another threatening letter to Lord. Rodenticides added a grocery as residue of mouth, broken glass in the fireplace. Lord Sterling was a nasty pickle in the fatherhood department, routinely beating his son with no rhyme or reason. Strangle marks in the victim's neck looked pretty suspicious, but the evidence showed that the Lord and Lady were no strangers to a bit of bedroom rough and tumble. Besides, the wife had no motive. She was already wealthy and seemed to genuinely love the guy. But poison is a sneaky addition to the shopping list, and a note from the butler threatening Lord Sterling of his behaviour towards young James put Alfred Novak's clearly in a frame. He may have predicted James from further beatings, but he won't be able to do much else from a prison cell. That's the way it goes. Ooh, nice string. Now, let me think about this for a second. Let me go back in here. I can't. Okay, evidence. Yeah, I want to look at the evidence. Okay. Okay. Relentless punishment for nothing. He's always been poisoned against you, but it's time to turn around if you change your wife. Life of the Lord doesn't need to be this hideous. If I were to do so, and I'll have to do something drastically. Yes, okay. Okay. Let's get to the next one then, shall we? Hitting the mark. What I might do is just read them, because I find that my brain works better when I'm not reading them out loud. But I'll read them out loud first and then read them and then edit around it. There was something about a dead guy. There's blood all over the seats, so it's going to be a pain to clean. I think there's going to sure hope I don't end like this company doesn't exist. Well, surely we can figure this one out. I don't go in for all this corporate stuff. Okay, perfect. A pile of the usual crap you expect to find in a glove compartment that sits underneath something you probably wouldn't. An envelope stuffed with cash. 2 neatly banded stacks of $100 bills, to be precise, probably in the region of 20,000. This is the kind of car you own if you routinely have that much cash on you. Seemed like our victim carried way more than just his lunch money to work. I wonder why. Maybe he was doing some like drug deals or something like that. 2 clean shots to the head. Here, Stephen. Pop, pop, no messing around. The blood's pulled out all over a crisp white shirt from 2 holes near the head. Heart, even. Whoever did this walked in front of the car while our victim parked up and fired in through the windshield. You can see from the outline on the glass that the first shot and the second shot almost overlap, so this looks calm rather than panicked. I guess the poor guy would have looked his killer right in the eye. Okay. I will read that one, especially after. This victim is a sallow-faced man in his 40s with thinning hair and a little piggy nose. He looks like that guy, you know, the type, one of life's middle men. Not the kind of face that's destined for greatness. In fact, he has the look of a man who thinks mustard exotic and an overdue library book is dangerous. More than anything else, it's the face of a man who hasn't slept in a while. I guess he can catch up on sleep now. True. True indeed. So these are from the phone itself. From in Blackwell 2 at softcloud.com to kdeloitte at southcloud.com. Kevin, I hope this finds you well. Just wanted to remind you that it's company policy not to allow people to brandish weapons on company policy. I understand your enthusiasm for the gun in question, but there's a time and a place, and the office isn't either. You weren't hired to be the company's firearms expert, Mary. So Mary to Kevin. Okay. I wonder what these other tabs are. From M. Blackwell to M. Blackwell. Mark, let's not get dramatic here. It was just a little pick after one too many Chardonnays. It was a mistake and it didn't mean anything. You and I have our problems to solve, you know this, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater over one silly kiss in. So that's from Mary, right, to Mark. Let me just have a look. In Blackwell 2, yeah, Mary. Okay. From in Blackwell, so this is from Mark. First of all, I'm Mark, not Mike. That's the second time you've made a weird error like that in your emails, and it's making me a bit concerned. Just look at the IntelliSoft Cloud website, head to the About Us page and you'll find a picture there. Don't want to have to explain this any further. So he's trying to hire a hitman, but he spelled Himtan47. That's a reference to the Hitman series of games, one of my favorite games actually. I really enjoy all of them. I just can't believe you've done this. You've stabbed me in the back when I'm already at a low ebb. I know I could have tried a bit harder. I know the romance has been lacking on my part, but I've been stressed and under a lot of pressure. Just don't understand why it had to be him. Okay. So, Mark emailed Mary saying that she stabbed someone or cheated on him. Some lunch, sandwich, apple, chips, a few papers and pens, and not much else. The victim's phone wasn't here. Our guy has been through it already, and there are some relevant emails up on the board. I found that people don't often carry their deepest, most revealing secrets in their bags, unfortunately. But then that will make solving these cases too easy. The parking lot is grey. The office building is grey. The sky is grey. It's one of those places that doesn't inspire in its sight, so much as it instills a languid sense of wow. The building itself is a shared space with a couple other companies in it, and the parking lot is set around the back, making it nice and secluded. Everyone's going home now, leaving our victim alone in his beat-up ride. Did I mention this whole crime scene is distinctly grey? You did, but I enjoy it. We found this in the trunk of the victim's car. It's a 4-page guide to accessing and using the dark web, entitled The Dark Web for Dimwits. It walks the reader through the various steps of downloading a specific browser, the Onion Network, right? Setting up credentials and security, and how to find all the interesting stuff that the studio side of the internet has to offer. Makes for some pretty interesting reading. I guess times have changed now, down at your local library, if this is the kind of things they're dishing out these days. I don't think a local library would necessarily have that information. Back at it again, detective diving in without hesitation, jumping to conclusions with all the facts. How very you. Another cryptonote addressed to me. Wonder what game someone's trying to play. I'll keep hold of this after we're done. Maybe that's from Mary or Mark. It's signed with an M, right? From in Blackwood Mark to in Blackwell 2. So Mary, hey thanks. The client win is one thing, but there are much more interesting bonuses to be had around here. Not all of them can fit into a paycheck if you catch my drift. Mike. So you put Mike in here. So maybe someone was pretending to be him. Dude, for the last time, stop telling people I stole the Frank or Steel. They weren't your client, and even they were, I wouldn't class this as stealing. All fears in love and war, you know, Mike. So the hitman was pretending to be him? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Mike, this is also weird. People don't just get shot in the parking lot here. There's not a thing that happens. And yeah, I mean, look, Mark and I had a complicated relationship, but I would never shoot anybody over the old falling out. If anything, you should be talking to Mark's underling, Kevin. So this is Mike Blackwood. What's Mark's last name? Mark's last name is Blackwell. There's so many people. The gun, he routinely carries a gun on his hip. He shows us different pieces in the cafeteria all the time. In fact, I once overheard him talking about how he'd like to tear the place up. Something about bosses denying him the right to bear arms. I don't go in for that Second Amendment stuff. Mary. This is horrible. Mark and I may not have been on the best of terms, but I wouldn't wish this on anyone, let alone my own husband. He was a nice guy. I think he just lost himself lately. Racked up on work problems and problems with our marriage. But no, I don't know who would have done this. I wouldn't describe him as a man with enemies. Before you ask, no, I wouldn't class Mike as an enemy. More of a rival. Although, to be fair, Mike handles that rivalry with more grace and charm than Mark ever did. Sorry, I shouldn't speak ill of the dead. I did love him. Marriage is complicated. Kevin Deloy. Well, here we go. Just before, because I reserve my right to open carry a firearm, suddenly I'm a suspect, is it? How cliche. I'm no killer detective, I just like fine craftsmanship. Don't know why I keep having to explain this to people, but liking guns doesn't mean you're intent on killing anybody. You ought to be less closed-minded and more open to the fact that different people like different things. I notice you're carrying a sharp-looking fountain pen. Does that mean you're going to stab someone with it? No, didn't think so. Maybe I will stab you, my friend. Nice to meet you, Detective. I'm Dr. Martin Oswald with Digital Forensics. Tech guys. Managed to access the company email accounts and have surfaced a few things you might find interesting. I put printouts on the board for you. You look things through things yourself, but maybe one thing to note is a conversation done through an encrypted email address on the dark web. Make of that what you will. In my experience, the people who work at these small companies are in each other's lives a bit too much. Things get a bit high school, if you know what I mean. So what I think is that Mark hired a hitman in Blackwell. Hired a hitman in Blackwell is, yeah. Killed Mike. Yeah. But he accidentally killed Mark. Because he, got the wrong person, essentially. And that was what the money was for, is to kill Mark. So, Mark, let's try this first, and if we don't get it right, then we can always read through and try again. Was killed, shot by well, like he hired. Oh yeah, let's put this one. Hired a killer. Where's killer? Yeah. With spelling problems or something like that. I think I saw it before. It was like language problems, reading problems. Yeah, there we go. Maybe this, like Mark was shot by. I feel like this part's right because he hired a killer with reading problems, like by mistake. Yeah, oh, I did get it right. You know what? I think man's right. The poor guy was a victim of his own contract hit because the killer misread the names. There's a lot going on in this company beyond day-to-day business affairs, office rivalries, and long-time grudges. First off, let's rule out Kevin. Sure, he's a bit of an odd fish, but being a gun nut doesn't make you a killer. Just makes you a nut. Oh my god, I'm done. Now to business. It seems like Mark wanted to put Mike 6 feet under. And for more than one reason, a business deal that probably should have gone Mark's way, and oh my god, and a burgeoning affair with his wife marrying both make for a nice, robust motive. But if you want something done right, do it yourself. There's a lesson Mark learned the hard way when he hired a hitman who couldn't read too good, and who found a picture of the wrong guy on the company website. Whoops. Yeah. We solved it. We did well. Well, that's 2 cases down. How many more to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I reckon we'll end it here. We'll do a couple a day. But thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, or subscribe as always. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!